Welcome to Whispers and Tales of Romance, the best place for paranormal romance audiobooks. We hope you enjoyed Chapter 1. How did I get here? The last thing I know, I was leaving a club after getting into an awful fight with my friend Chloe, and now I'm in an empty corridor alone. Everything is still and eerily quiet. If it wasn't for the sound of the rain pouring outside, you'd think I'd stepped into another dimension. There's a door at the end of the hallway I feel compelled to reach. I can't explain it. It's like my body's seeking something my mind doesn't yet comprehend. I slip inside a dark, quiet room dimly lit by the moon, which casts a soft ethereal glow through the large bay window. My eyes slowly adjust to the darkness, and I realize I'm standing in a bedroom with high ceilings and wooden floors, and there in the bed lies a figure, a man half covered by a tank mess of sheets, his chest bare, and rising gently with each breath. Even in sleep there's a strength to him, his features cast in the soft lunar light, revealing a rugged handsomeness that feels familiar yet utterly captivating. Who's this man? What is he doing here? Wait, more importantly, what am I doing here? Shouldn't I do the sensible thing and leave? Something holds me in place, and I find myself walking towards the bed, instead heart racing as I try to make out the man's features throughout the darkness. When I do, I can't believe my eyes. I know this man. In fact, I loathe him with every fiber of my being. He is the most conceited, demeaning, kind of gorgeous, but nevertheless self-satisfied jerk I've ever met in my entire life, and this is coming from someone whose father left when she was 5. Never have I ever been so humiliated than on the day we'd met. His name is Harry Saxs, and he's my university professor. We met on a cold but sunny winter morning. I was just recently back on campus from my holiday break when I met up with my friend Chloe. Did you have a nice time with your family, Emma? She asked as we were heading into our university's main building. I mean, I'm sure I would have if I had one, I replied dismissively. I'm sorry, are you guys not close? Chloe's big blue eyes filled with a compassion I didn't want. Stop that. I don't feel sorry for myself, and neither should you. The question is why do you look so chipper? Chloe, didn't you spend your holidays with Idiot McFace? Idiot McDom is Chloe's boyfriend. He has a name, mind you, but since I make a point out of keeping useless information out of my head, I couldn't tell you what it was for the life of me. I really wished you tried to know him better. I know he's not your cup of tea, but I snorted at that. He was the type of guy who believed women couldn't do anything on their own, especially not Chloe, who he saw as his property. I had no idea what she was doing with him when it was so obvious the guy made her miserable. I told you before, Emma. Nate and I are destined to be together. He's your soulmate. I know you've said we entered the university building. I blissfully unaware I was seconds away from losing my dignity, and Chloe focused on her whole soulmate voodoo thing. In her mind, she has no choice but to be with this person who keeps hurting her because it's supposedly, and I quote, meant to be. I didn't know how to argue my case after hearing that crap. I just don't see how the universe could pick someone like that for you. Chloe, you deserve to be happy. I stopped mid-sentence as I was handed back the term paper submitted before break by a TNF. I gasped in horror. There must be some kind of mistake. Maybe the teacher figured out you copied your paper from Ted. I rolled my eyes. Please, Chloe, Dr. Barnes is so old he instantly forgets what he reads. I'm going to give him a piece of my mind. This is an outrage about that, Emma. I think Dr. Barnes is not. Don't move, I won't be long, I told my friend, running off. Wait, Emma. I didn't listen and ran off towards Dr. Barnes's office, prepared to unleash a tirade on that old fossilized relic. He was known to be a very easy grater, which was why I decided to enroll in his class in the first place. Why else would I ever sit through lectures about archaeology? I banged on his door in an effort to assert myself. Come in, a stern voice echoed through the door, focused on building up my arguments. I didn't notice it sounded nothing like Dr. Barnes's, and barged into his office, freezing in my tracks when I realized it wasn't him sitting behind the desk. Chapter 2. Instead of a receding hairline and a long white beard, I found myself staring at the light brown hair and well-defined jawline of a 30-something young man I'd never seen before in my life. Yes, the stranger asked without looking up from the mess of papers on his desk. You're not Dr. Barnes, I stammered, rather accusingly. An astute observation. He had to take a sudden leave due to health issues. I'm Dr. Harry Saxs. I'll be substituting for the remainder of the year. Oh, I replied, feeling rather dumbfounded. He finally decided to look up from his stack of papers, his thundering grey eyes locking onto mine. For a brief moment I forgot the purpose of my visit, struck by the effortless authority that seemed to radiate from him. And you are? He asked, raising an expectant eyebrow. I hurried towards him with renewed purpose. Emma Pierce, I answered, handing him my term paper. I'm here because there's been a mistake with my last grade. Was there? Draw Sack sounded highly dubious. His tone threw me off a little. Well, his tone and the mocking look he was sending me. So I scratched my throat before bravely Trudging on. Yes, Dr. Barnes must have made a mistake because a Dr. Saxs interrupted, grabbing my copy out of my hands to give it a disdainful glance. You're the student who cheated. I didn't cheat, I exclaimed, outraged. Well, seeing how you handed in the exact same work as a Miss Ted Davis, I'd say one of you definitely cheated, wouldn't you? I gaped like a fish at a loss for words as Dr. Saxs continued, as of now you've both got fails. However, should the person who copied come forward, I'd be willing to rectify the original paper's grade. He seemed sincere with the opportunity he was presenting me with. Someone could get away with a better grade here. Really, there was only one thing left for me to do right. It was Ted. Ted totally copied me. Dr. Saxs couldn't have looked less impressed. No, he didn't, he scoffed, giving me my paper back. You're dismissed. Dismissed? What about my grade? I protested, waving my paper around. This is going to significantly lower my GPA. There's a rather easy way you could improve your grade. Ella. Dr. Saxs sank back in his chair, a ghost of a smirk playing on his lips, as if he found my predicament amusing. It's Emma, I snapped, crossing my arms. And wait, what do you mean by an easy way to improve my grade? I would think that's rather obvious, don't you? The air between us grew heavy, his gaze laden with implication caught mine, and I was at a loss for words for a moment. Surely he hadn't meant what I thought he meant. He wouldn't make a pass at me, would he? But then again, his words were inviting, his tone downright suggestive, and seeing the way he was looking at me like he was inches away from pulling me onto his lap and make me pay for my impertinence, my breath caught in my throat as my mind began to race. I wondered what he had in store for me exactly. Would he content himself with just a kiss? The idea of his lips crashing onto mine ran a shiver down my spine, but he didn't seem like the type of man who'd be satisfied with a simple kiss. He'd probably pin me to his desk. And Miss Dr. Saxs asked, looking somewhat confused. I scratched my throat, hoping to hide my anticipation. I didn't want to look too enthusiastic. He was blackmailing me after all. Fine, I said, putting my bag down. Where do you want me? Dr. Sax's expression remained perfectly impassive, though his body tensed slightly. What, where, and how? What do you want? I batted my eyelashes at him. Or shall I just get down on my knees on your? Dr. Sax's eyes widened in disbelief, and then he slightly recoiled. I meant doing extra credit, a chance to redo the assignment. I felt my heart sink into my stomach from sheer embarrassment. Had I really gotten it wrong? But how I would have loved nothing more than for the ground to swallow me whole, but I couldn't let it show. Redo the assignment? I scoffed. I'm not about to redo something I already spent hours on. I raised my nose in the air, satisfied by Dr. Sax's stunned expression. You're too good for extra credit, yet you offer yourself up to any random stranger? He asked, raising an eyebrow. I clenched my jaw, feeling my face flush in anger. I hated how he made that sound like I was something cheap and easily disposable. Well, it would have been way less Timek consuming, I reply, feigning to sound just as indifferent as he did. Get out of my office. Dr. Saxs snaps, jaw clenched, and that about sums up how he and I met. In the months that followed, my relationship with Dr. Saxs didn't improve much, though my grades did, as there was no way I was going to let that arrogant prick the satisfaction of looking down on me ever again. He'd made me feel so small and insignificant. I now rejoiced in the reluctant looks he'd give me every time he was forced to hand me back a successful test, though he made a point of always getting my name wrong. Yes, Mildred, you have a question passable work today. Rita, anybody know when Emma Pierce? There was no way he didn't remember who I was by this point. That jerk was doing it on purpose. All this to say the man and I do not get along. This is why being in his room now and in the middle of the night no less feels downright illicit. Never mind how I even got there in the first place, why I haven't made myself scarce yet. Now that's the real mystery. I'm unable to tear my eyes away from him, like a new unspoken connection is bridging the gap between us. How can someone so aggravating in the light of day evoke such a storm of warm emotions in me? Now I jolt at that last thought and step back, my breath catching in my throat as the realization of what I'm doing and feeling slowly sinks in. What exactly is happening here? For some unknown reason I'm in my university professor's room watching him sleep instead of getting out of there before getting caught, and also trying to figure out how I'd even gotten to his house when I don't even know where he lives. The last thing I remember, I'd convinced Chloe to come out with me. We were supposed to go dancing together. Had we gone? Why can't I remember? Chapter 3. I have to go home. Unfortunately, light comes on outside the bedroom and I hear footsteps coming my way. If I get caught here, I'm dead. The sheer humiliation will likely kill me. I dodged behind a curtain just as someone bursts into the room. It's a tall, beautiful woman with long red hair, who's wearing a light silk robe. Harry, wake up. Dr. Saxs immediately sits up in bed, looking remarkably composed for someone who barely just woke up. Viv, what's wrong? I briefly wonder if Viv is this woman's actual name. Dr. Saxs actually bothered remembering before focusing Again, it's Chloe, she needs help. They're not talking about my Chloe, are they? Why would she need any help from Dr. Saxs of all people? I watch them exit the room before getting out myself, though not before glimpsing into the hallway to make sure I'm alone. Slowly, I make my way towards a couple of voices I can hear arguing a little further down the hall. I'm led to the top of a large wooden staircase at the bottom of which is none other than Chloe, collapsed on her knees in tears. What's going on with her? Did her boyfriend do something? I see him close beside her, an angry scowl on his face. What happened? Dr. Saxs asks, placing a hand on Chloe's back. I blink in surprise. Are they actually acquainted? But then why hadn't Chloe ever mentioned that? Nate, Dr. Saxs insists, but the guy's busy staring at Dr. Sax's hand on Chloe, clenching his fists like a child would upon having been denied his candy. It's her friend, he mutters reluctantly before shutting his mouth like he said everything. It's clearly not enough information for Dr. Saxs, though. Which friend? You know, the one she met in class, the small obnoxious brunette who talks too much. Dr. Sax's head snaps up. You mean Emma? I knew it, he knows my name. He's suddenly looking a little pale, though probably a trick of the light. My thoughts are interrupted by a piercing scream. Chloe's now panting against the floor, face contorted in pain. The redhead looks at her with a worried frown. Harry, she's going to turn. What does she mean? Turn? What's wrong with Chloe? I hesitate to step out of my hiding place when Dr. Saxs gets her to her feet and drags her off in his arms. Hey, where are you going? Chloe's my mate, her boyfriend protests as he begins to trail after them, but the redhead Viv grabs him by the arm. Enough, only Harry can help her now. You know this, tell me what happened. I already did, Viv, and she's in shock because her friend had an accident. An accident? Wait, are they still talking about me? What kind of accident? Vivian says sending Nate a pointed look. She got hit by a car on her way out of the club. She and Chloe were at. Don't look at me like that, I had nothing to do with it. Hit by a what? That can't be true. I'd remember if I'd been in an accident, right? A vague impression of fear, the distant sound of yelling as I'm dragging Chloe on a street in the rain echoes in my mind. I'm confused, too confused to stay hidden any longer. Embarrassment be damned, I have to know what's happening here. I get out of my hiding space and make my way downstairs. Look, I don't know what Nate's deal is, but I obviously wasn't in any accident. As you can see, I'm right here doing just fine. So I interrupt my speech when it becomes obvious neither Nate nor Vivian are paying attention to a word I'm saying. They're continuing their conversation like I'm not even there. Rude much. Why are you pretending I had an accident? I'm right here. I try again, waving my hand in front of Nate's face, but Nate doesn't bother to acknowledge me in the least, though neither does little Miss Viv over there, which is worrisome. It's like they can't even see me. Things quickly escalate to downright terrifying when, as I try to catch Nate's attention by grabbing his shoulder, I find my hand going right through him like it would through air. I'm stunned in place. Am I dreaming? Let's go wait in the living room, Vivian says, though her voice seems to reach me from miles away. I feel like I can't breathe. What is happening to me? I throw myself in front of them, trying to block their path, but they pass through me like I'm nothing more than a wisp of smoke, their bodies chillingly insubstantial as they intersect with mine. It's like they never even touched me in the first place. I can't stay here any longer. I need to find someone, anyone who can explain what's happening to me. Questions circle in my mind, each one feeding into my growing terror. My feet carry me outside the mansion, its vastness giving way to the wilder scenery of the woods that border the property. I don't even think about where to go. I begin to run straight ahead without looking back. Inside the forest, the branches seem to reach out to me, an eerie dance of shadows and moonlight. I can't feel the cold of the night air. The ground beneath my feet feels non-existent. I am moving, yes, but it's as if I'm floating untethered from the earth, like I'm there, but not. My heart races, pounding against my rib cage. Am I dead? Is this some sort of limbo, a place between worlds where I'm doomed to wander alone? The thought brings a fresh wave of anguish that threatens to swallow me whole. What will I do if no one else can see me? Either tears stream down my face as the weight of my situation settles in. I am more alone than I have ever been in my life. I might never feel the warmth of a hug or see someone smile at me again. How can I find my way back from this? Will I wake up to find this was all a nightmare? I know this feels too real to be a dream. I close my eyes, trying to think about my next move. I should go to my dorm room on campus and start from there. I get up, but find that each new step I take is more draining than the next. I feel like I'm underwater, fighting against the current, an invisible force pushing back as I try to advance, and then for a brief instant there's a tug, and it feels like I'm falling off a ledge, being pulled by gravity. The forest around me dissolves into the dimly lit confines of a familiar bedroom I left but an hour ago. My heart skips a beat, not just from the sudden change in scenery, but from the sight of Dr. Saxs, fully awake this time, pinned down on his bed by a half-naked brunette, a long calming breath exhaling loudly in its wake. But I freeze in shock as Dr. Sax's head snaps up, his eyes lock onto mine, widening in an expression I've never seen him wear before. I feel like I can't breathe. He can't actually see me, right? How embarrassing would it be if he could actually see me? What the Emma? Oh my god, he can. Thank you for watching. To get to the next part, please click the thumbnail on your screen, and please consider giving this video a like and subscribe if you enjoyed it.